The smell of burnt rosemary and expensive wine always reminds me of the night my life became a lie. I am standing in our kitchen, the one with the marble countertops I spent 3 months picking out, wearing the silk dress Mark bought me for our 8th anniversary. Everything looks perfect. The lighting is soft, the music is low, and the table is set for two. I check the clock. Mark is late, but that's nothing new. He's a partner at a top-tier firm. He's building our future, as he always says. I believe him because I want to. I believe him because the alternative, that I am a decorative object in my own home, is too painful to admit. I spent the afternoon polishing the silver and making sure the house smells like a dream. When the front door finally opens, I feel a rush of relief. I smooth my hair and put on the smile of the perfect wife. Mark walks in, smelling of cold air and expensive cologne. He doesn't look at me. He goes straight to the sideboard and pours himself a double scotch, downing it in one go. His tie is loosened, and his eyes are bloodshot. Long day? I ask, stepping toward him to take his coat. He avoids my touch, stepping back as if my hand is a hot iron. The longest. I don't think I can do the dinner thing tonight, Sarah. I'm exhausted. My heart sinks. I spent 6 hours on this meal. I spent 8 years on this man. It's just a quiet dinner, Mark. We haven't talked in weeks. Properly talked. He sighs, a heavy, jagged sound that cuts through the soft jazz playing in the background. He looks at me then, but not with love. He looks at me with a strange clinical detachment. Talking doesn't change the facts, Sarah. I'm tired. Just go to bed. He walks past me, and for a split second, I see it. A smudge of something on his collar. No, it's deeper than that. It's the way he carries himself. The way he moves through this house, as if he's already moved out. I stand in the middle of the kitchen, surrounded by the scent of a feast no one will eat. I trusted him. I trusted the plan. We were supposed to be the power couple, the one everyone envied. But as I blow out the candles, the darkness feels heavier than usual. That was the moment everything changed, though I didn't know it yet. The next morning, the illusion starts to crack. Mark is gone before I wake up, leaving only a cold spot on the pillow and a crumpled receipt on the nightstand. I pick it up, expecting a coffee run or a dry cleaning bill. Instead, it's for a jewelry store I've never visited. The date is yesterday. The item is a diamond pendant I've never seen. I feel a cold shiver run down my spine, but I push it away. Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe he's trying to make up for his coldness. I spend the day trying to convince myself that I'm being paranoid, but my hands won't stop shaking. By the time evening rolls around, I can't sit still. I decide to bring him lunch at the office. It's a classic good wife move, one that usually earns me a distracted kiss and a pat on the cheek. But when I arrive at the firm, his assistant, Elena, looks at me with a mixture of pity and panic. He's in a closed-door meeting. Sarah, she says, her voice trembling slightly. I wouldn't go in there. I'll just leave it on his desk, I say, pushing past her. I've been here 100 times. I own this space as much as he does. Or so I thought. As I reach the heavy oak doors of his private office, I hear voices. They aren't loud, but they are intimate. I stop, my hand hovering over the handle. It's Mark's voice, and it sounds lighter, happier than I've heard it in years. And then I hear his sister, Julianne. I relax for a second. It's just his sister. But then Julianne speaks, and the words feel like a physical blow to my chest. You have to tell her soon, Mark. The house is in her name, too. You can't just keep stringing her along while you're setting up the new place with Chloe. My breath hitches. Chloe? Who is Chloe? Mark's reply is a low chuckle that makes my stomach turn. Don't worry about Sarah. She's stable, she's reliable, but she was always just temporary. A placeholder until I got to where I needed to be. I'll give her a decent settlement, and she'll go quietly. She doesn't have the spine for a fight. Temporary. Julian asks, a hint of a laugh in her voice. You've been married 8 years. 8 years of maintenance, Mark says, and I can practically hear the shrug in his voice. She served her purpose. She kept the image clean while I built the empire. But Chloe is the future. Sarah is just the past I haven't cleared out yet. I feel invisible. I feel like a piece of furniture he's decided to replace because it's no longer in style. The lunch bag in my hand feels like it weighs 100 pounds. I turn around and walk away, my heels clicking on the marble floor like a countdown to a bomb. I don't go home. I drive until the city lights blur into long streaks of neon. The word temporary loops in my head like a broken record. Every sacrifice I made, leaving my career to support his, moving for his promotions, hosting the endless boring dinners. It was all for a man who viewed me as a lease he was waiting to expire. When I finally walk through the front door of his house, I see him sitting on the sofa, scrolling through his phone. He looks up, his expression neutral. Where have you been? Dinner isn't started. I look at him, really look at him, for the first time in years. I see the arrogance in the set of his jaw. I see the way he doesn't even bother to hide his boredom. I wasn't hungry, I say, my voice sounding like it's coming from someone else. Well, I am, he says, standing up. And we need to talk. I think we've hit a wall. Sarah, maybe some space would be good. I've booked a hotel for a few nights. He's doing it. He's starting the clearing out process. He's going to go to a hotel, which I now know is actually Chloe. Space. I ask, my voice cracking. Mark, what is this really about? He sighs, that same practiced, weary sigh. It's just life, Sarah. People grow apart. You've become a bit stagnant. I need more. I deserve more. And what do I deserve? I ask, stepping closer. 8 years, Mark. I gave you everything. He looks at me with a terrifying coldness. You gave what was expected. Don't make this a drama. You were a great wife for that stage of my life. But that stage is over. You're temporary, Sarah. You always were. You just didn't realize the contract had an end date. The cruelty is so casual, it leaves me breathless. He walks past me, grabbing a pre-packed suitcase from the hallway closet. He had it ready. He's been planning this for months while I was picking out rosemary for his dinner. I'll have my lawyer call you Monday, he says, opening the front door. Don't make this difficult. It'll only make it harder for you. He walks out, the door clicking shut with a finality that should have broken me. I stand in the foyer, the silence of the house pressing in on my ears. I feel the collapse starting, the heat in my chest, the stinging in my eyes. I fall to my knees on the expensive rug. And for the next 3 hours, I let the waves of betrayal drown me. They thought I wouldn't fight back. They thought I would just fade away. The collapse doesn't last. By 3 a.m., the tears have dried into a salty mask on my face, and a new feeling is taking root. It's a cold, sharp clarity. I realize that Mark thinks he's the architect of this life, but I'm the one who laid every single brick. I start digging. If I'm temporary, then I need to know exactly what he's been building while I was maintaining the image. I go to his home office. It's locked, but Mark is predictable. He uses the same 4-digit code for everything. His birth year. I'm inside in seconds. I start with his desk, then his computer. I spent years helping him organize his files. I know exactly where the hidden folders are. What I find makes the temporary comment look kind. There are spreadsheets. Mark has been moving our money, into offshore accounts for 2 years. He's been undervaluing our assets, preparing to show a court that he's worth far less than he actually is so he can skip out on a fair settlement. And then I find the Chloe folder. It's not just an affair. It's a lifestyle. Photos of them in Paris, in Rome, on the boat we supposedly couldn't afford this year. But the kicker isn't the cheating. It's the emails to his sister, Julianne. Sarah is so predictable. One email reads, "She signed every document I put in front of her without reading it. By the time she realizes the house is leveraged and the accounts are drained, I'll be halfway across the world with Chloe. Let her have the shell of the life. I'm taking the substance." My blood turns to ice. He isn't just leaving me, he's bankrupting me. He's leaving me with the debt and the temporary title while he steals the future we built together. I look at the clock. 5 a.m. I have 48 hours before he expects me to be the good, quiet victim his lawyer can steamroll. He thinks I'm a placeholder. He thinks I'm the past. I pick up the phone and call the one person I know Mark hates, his former business partner, Elias, whom Mark screwed over in a merger 3 years ago. "Elias," I say, my voice steady and hard. "I have the spreadsheets. I have the offshore routing numbers. And I think it's time we both got what we're owed." That was the moment I stopped being the wife. That was the moment I became the storm. The next 48 hours are a blur of adrenaline and calculated moves. Elias meets me at a diner on the outskirts of town. He looks at the documents I've printed, and a slow, dark smile spreads across his face. "He's been skimming from the firm too," Elias whispers, tapping a line on the spreadsheet. "Sarah, this isn't just a divorce. This is a felony. I don't want him in jail yet," I say, leaning in. "I want him to feel what it's like to be locked out of his own life. I want him to understand that nothing about me was temporary." While Mark is at his hotel with Chloe, I am busy. I meet with a high-stakes divorce attorney who specializes in aggressive asset recovery. I provide every password, every account number, and every scrap of evidence of his fraud. Then I go to the bank. Since I'm still legally on all the accounts, the ones he hasn't successfully drained yet, I move every cent of the liquid cash into a protected trust. It's not stealing if it's marital property and he's committing fraud, my lawyer assures me. It's securing the estate. But the best part? The house. The house is the shell he wanted to leave me with. But the house is also the only thing Mark actually cares about. It's his trophy. It's where he hosts the board members and the local elite. I call a locksmith. Not just any locksmith, but a high-security specialist. I want the entire system overhauled. I tell him, new codes, new physical locks, and a biometric scanner for the front door. And I want the security cameras rerouted to a private server that only I can access. "Doing some remodeling, ma'am?" the locksmith asks. "Just clearing out the clutter." I reply, "By Sunday night, the house is a fortress." Mark's designer suits are in garbage bags in the garage. His expensive watches are in a safety deposit box he can't touch. His temporary wife is sitting in the dark living room, watching the security feed on her phone. At 11 p.m., his car pulls into the driveway. I watch him on the screen. He looks smug. He's probably coming back to tell me I have 24 hours to pack my things. He walks up to the front door, his key in hand. He slides it in, but it doesn't turn. He frowns. He tries again, harder this time. He rattles the handle. Then he tries the keypad. Error. Error. Access denied. I wait for the doorbell. When it rings, I don't move. I let it ring for 10 minutes. Then I pick up the intercom. "Can I help you?" I ask, my voice cool and pleasant. "Sarah, open the door." The lock is jammed. Mark's voice is tight with irritation. "The lock isn't jammed, Mark." I say, "The lock has been upgraded. Only residents have access." "What are you talking about? Open this damn door." "I'm afraid I can't do that. See, I've been thinking about what you said, about me being temporary. It turns out I'm not, but your presence in this house, that was a limited time offer, and it just expired. The scene on my front porch is being broadcasted live, not to the world, but to a very specific group of people. I've sent a private gallery link to his firm's partners, his sister Julianne, and Chloe's husband. Yes, Chloe is married. Mark forgot to mention that. Sarah, I will call the police. Mark screams, kicking the door. Go ahead, I say through the intercom. I have the deed to the house, the evidence of your offshore fraud, and a restraining order being filed at 8 a.m. tomorrow based on the financial abuse and abandonment you so clearly documented in your own emails. I see him freeze. The word emails hits him like a physical blow. He looks at the security camera, finally realizing that I'm not just hiding. I'm watching. You think you're smart, he sneers, though his voice is trembling. You have nothing. I'll ruin you. You already tried, I say. But you forgot one thing, Mark. You taught me everything I know about being ruthless. You were a great teacher for that stage of my life. But that stage is over. I hang up. Outside, the lights of his car are still visible, but he's stopped screaming. He's realizing the scale of the collapse. He realizes that Elias is probably at the firm right now with the board, showing them the skimming records. He realizes that Chloe's husband is likely throwing her things onto their own lawn. The next morning, the public revelation begins in earnest. I don't have to do much. The truth has its own momentum. Mark is fired by noon. By 2 p.m., his sister Julianne is calling me, begging for family loyalty. Loyalty? I ask her, is that what you called it when you laughed about me being a placeholder? You're temporary too, Julianne. At least to me. I hang up on her too. I spend the afternoon in the garden I planted. I realize I don't even like rosemary that much. I pull it out by the roots and toss it into the compost. The temporary wife is gone. The woman who stays is someone Mark wouldn't recognize. And someone I'm finally starting to like. 6 months later, the divorce is finalized. Mark didn't go halfway across the world. He's living in a studio apartment, fighting 3 different lawsuits and a potential indictment for wire fraud. His future with Chloe lasted exactly 3 days after the money dried up. I kept the house. I sold it, actually. I didn't want the ghosts of his lies haunting the hallways. I took the money and bought a small, beautiful place by the coast. No marble countertops. No perfect image to maintain. Just me. I'm sitting on my new porch, watching the sunset. The air is salty and clean. My phone buzzes with a message from an unknown number. I know it's him. He sends these occasionally, alternating between rage and pathetic pleas for closure. Sarah, how could you do this? We were family. I don't reply. I block the number, just like I blocked his influence over my soul. I thought losing him would be the end of my world. I thought being temporary meant I was disposable. But the truth is, Mark gave me a gift. He showed me that the life I was so desperate to keep was actually a cage. I look at the horizon. I'm not a placeholder. I'm not a shell. I am the architect now. And the foundation I've built this time is made of something Mark could never understand. Self-respect. The betrayal was the fire, but I was the one who decided to be the steel instead of the ash. I look at my hands. They aren't shaking anymore. They are steady. They are strong. They are mine. Sometimes losing your family is the price of finding yourself.